Thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode of the Real Israel Podcast with me, your host, Chaim Malespin. Join us as we dive into Israel's past, present, and future as we explore the rich history, current events, and visionary perspectives shaping this dynamic region. Mordechai Kedar, what an honor. I can't tell you how honored I am. I don't know if you might remember me or not. I met you in 2010, I believe it was, as one of your students in the Reichman University. And I'm so honored because people around the world, they just don't understand what we deal with here in the Middle East. And I just learned today, your parents made Aliyah. We're here helping immigrants and stuff, but your parents made Aliyah from Poland. You speak Yiddish, and suddenly you're now at
My
home.
parents spoke Yiddish.
And to go from that to be one of the most, along with some other big names, they call them the Arabists, or the people that understand this land and try to unpack that very patiently to the people around the world who just don't understand. And so I'm so glad to ask you just a few questions. Like, I should really salute you because I'm a sergeant major in the Army. You're a lieutenant colonel in reserves. And even before I ever made Aliyah, you had finished, 25 years of your service before reserves?
The Israeli intelligence, yes. Look, about Arabic. No surgeon was born with a knife.
Uh-huh.
You can learn.
Right.
Okay? I learned Arabic in high school, in the army, when I was in the intelligence, and then in the academic world. So with the years, and look, I deal with Arabic already like 60 years.
Wow.
For my life.
Yeah.
So,
And the Arabic University in 1970, I believe, was when, and you finished in 1995 your PhD in...
No, I finished 95, I finished my army service.
Okay, right.
The PhD I finished in 1998.
1988.
It was about Hafiz Assad, the former ruler of...
And I just looked around in your beautiful home, and I'm just amazed to see the amount of knowledge that you've acquired. And are these your lovely parents right here?
Yes, this is my late parents.
Amazing. And Kedar, is that a Polish name, Kedar?
No, it was Kupperschmidt.
Okay, that sounds more. Okay.
I abbreviated it to Kedar.
Wow. And what caused you to begin to want to take this specific niche of, along with other Yosian and other...
A very attractive teacher.
Okay.
A man who originally came from Germany.
Okay.
But he spoke Arabic very well. And he actually was a spy for the British Army in North Africa, in Egypt, when the Rommel army was there.
Wow.
In 1942. And he actually spied on the Germans, and could very possibly be that the victory which the British had against the Nazi Corpus Africanus in Alamein, it's the western part of Egypt, eastern part of Libya, was actually because of his information which he gave from the years which he was there, spying on the Germans, speaking German with them.
Right. Wow.
And he was a perfect spy. Apparently, he was behind this victory.
Is that right? And there's Eli Cohen, the spy. There's a lot of history. People say things and they don't know what it came from. And I know that you're really good. I mean, you're practically in the studio more than you're at home. You're you're just teaching the world what we're dealing with.
Yeah, because unfortunately, people in the West, they don't get it.
Right.
What happens in the Middle East? They don't understand because the toolbox of culture, the cultural toolbox of the West, openness, liberalism, modernism,
economy,
individualism, all these things are totally irrelevant when it comes to the Middle East. Here, the toolbox, the cultural toolbox, is divided to three major parts. The first part is the group thinking.
Okay, like
which
a tribe.
Based on the tribalism, which describes many of the Middle Eastern societies, due to the fact that the whole Middle East is one giant, big, or actually the biggest desert in the world,
right?
Which starts in Morocco in the west and ends in Iran in the east, and from Iraq to Yemen. And this, in the desert, you have to survive near a source of water. This is why, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of years already, that people are in a constant struggle for the water. Because when you exhaust your source of water, like
Right.
you go to others in order to
Right.
take the water. And there is a struggle about this. And in a struggle, you cannot live as an individual. You must live as a group, because
Right.
the group is more powerful than the individual. And the most powerful group is the family, the father and the sons. And after a generation, it's the grandchildren, cousins. After a generation, there's the second cousins,
Right.
the great grandchildren. And here you are, you have a clan, you have an extended family, you have a tribe.
Yes.
If it's big enough. So this is why the tribal system is the cornerstone of Middle Eastern societies. And you see it until this very day. They marry within the clan because they don't marry with others, because the other is the enemy,
Right.
almost by definition.
Right. Is that why
The
multiple wives?
blood revenge,
Right.
series of killings between two groups. Even murdering daughters on the background of the honor killing is also some tribal heritage of these societies, and it is still alive and kicking, this heritage,
Right.
if not also alive and killing. And look, it also has good aspects of mutual support, and you actually the principle on which this society operates is that the individual gives up on his private issues,
Right.
and in return gets support in any case. Physical support, financial support, whatever support
Right.
you will get, because you are one of us.
Right.
Okay, so this is the one thing. And until today, Iraq is divided to 76 tribes.
Wow.
And every one of them is armed to its teeth. And you don't mess with them, because first they will kill you and they will ask who you were and what you wanted. And this is the tribal issues in the Middle East, which is it's called in Arabic Kabbaliyya. So
Okay.
who from your listeners know what Kabbaliyya is, or Asha'iriyya, knows exactly what I'm
Is like
talking
Hamula is similar?
Hamula, yeah.
Okay.
The second part of the toolbox is Islam, which came to the world only 14 centuries ago. Very short time compared to the long time of the tribalism culture, of the tribal culture. Islam came to the world originally in order to solve the problems of tribalism.
Okay.
The series of blood revenge
Right.
is forbidden in Islam. Even killing your daughter because of some rumors about her is not allowed in Islam. You have to bring her to court with the judge, with 4 witnesses. Very hard to punish. Also, according to the blood, to the tribal culture, you marry your daughter to your brother's son.
Okay.
This is the tradition.
Keep it in the family.
Keep
yeah.
in the family. And the result are genetic problems, which are perpetuated in these families because they marry within the clan. Muhammad comes and orders his community get married from afar. Means geographically afar, it's also from the family point of view.
Right.
Means in order to have healthy children without genetic problems which are caused by the fact that 2 parents have the same problem. So Islam in the beginning tried to push aside tribalism, to diminish it, to get rid of it, but it failed. Until this very day, they are killing each other on family issues, Hamula issues. Even the Sunni Shi'i rift started between 2 families on the heritage of Muhammad.
Yeah.
So Islam failed, and you can see how Muslims are killing Muslims. The struggle between the Turks and the Kurds, between Iran and other Muslims. What happens in Iraq, that Shia are fighting against Sunni. What happens in Syria, where Muslims are killing Muslims. So definitely Islam failed in this attempt to bring peace to the Muslims. However, it succeeded in another time, in the other notion of the jihad. Jihad means all the tribes unite under the Islamic umbrella, under the belief in Allah, not in different idols. And now you can direct your anger and your energy against the infidels instead of fighting with each other.
Okay.
And
Jihad, right?
The jihad means that Islam and Allah gave the Muslims the lands of the infidels, the life of the infidels, the property of the infidels, and the daughters of the infidels. So why fight with each other? Let's go to the infidels.
Right.
We can get everything from them. So this is in very simplistic way, but this is more or less how the whole thing worked. And now you have two toolboxes. One is the tribal one, was the Islamic one. 200 and a bit more years ago, another toolbox started to operate in the Middle East, which is the modern toolbox, which came from Europe. All kinds of ideas. Liberalism, modernism, nationalism, patriotism, communism later, socialism.
Wow, okay.
And, of course, things connected to gender issues. Equality of women, women in work, women in arts, women and politics. You know, after all, according to both the tribal and the Islamic cultures, women are at home.
Gotcha. Right.
They don't, they don't play any role in the society. Okay, there were some kind of different cases, but in general, the view to a womb was a walking womb. So you can have one, you can have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as many as you want, just like you have some cars or whatever. Right,
but not studying the Quran or voting or working
No. I'm talking about until 200 years ago.
Okay.
Since the Napoleon invasion of Egypt in 1798, all these European ideas started to come by influx to the Middle East and brought another toolbox of modernism, liberalism, individualism, all kinds of isms which came from the West. And now you can compare it to 3 horses, the tribal horse, the Islamic horse, and the modern horse, who are pulling one wagon to 3 different directions.
I got it.
Because the tribal direction is one, the Islamic one is different, although there are some cooperations between them, and they are all against the modern one who tries to replace the tribalism and Islam together. And the modern state is some kind of a modern idea, which also was supposed to replace the tribe or the Islamic caliphate. Okay?
Right. Would you say that if there wasn't the scarcity of commodity, scarcity that they have to take the herdsmen have to go find grass, find water, what if there was enough water for everyone and enough food for everyone? Would that remove the enmity, the fighting between clans and between chamulot?
You can learn it from Africa. In Africa, in most cases, they don't fight on water. There are deserts in Africa. But in the, let's say, in the places which you have rain, usually tribes live separately from each other. Everyone sticks to his own space and leaves the others alone. Why? He has whatever he needs. Food, water. What else do you need? Why do you mess with others? There are troubles when you put tribes together. Like what happened in Biafra in the 70s, what happened in Rwanda between Hutu and the Tutsis. So when you separate them, everyone lives by his own way and leaves the others alone. While if you push them together to one framework, they will fight each other. And here is why. Here in the Middle East, in general, the states are divided to 2 kinds. One kind is the failing state. Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Sudan, Libya are all failing states. While there are another group of countries which are successful states. Kuwait, Qatar, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Oman,
Indonesia, maybe?
Oman, and 5 more Emirates with Dubai and Abu Dhabi. The 7 United Arab Emirates. All of them are heaven on earth. One would say, of course, they have oil. Wrong. Dubai has no oil and no gas. Very little sliver of the economy of Dubai is based on these things. And Dubai is a heaven on earth. Iraq, with a lot of oil. And Libya, with a hell of a lot of oil. are failing states. So apparently it's not the oil.
All right.
So what is the source of instability here and stability in these countries? Very easy. All the failing states are conglomerates of ethnic groups like Arabs, Kurdish people, Armenians, Turkmens, Berbers in North Africa. Tribes still are there. Religions. In Iraq there are like 10 religions, only in Iraq. Wow. Muslims, Christians, Sabais, Mandays, Yazidis, Zoroastrians, Shubaks, and Alawis and Druze who ran away from Syria. So more or less 10 religions. And sects. Muslims are divided between Sunnah and Shia and Salafis and Sufis and all kinds of others. And subdivisions of these two. And the Christians, when they were in Iraq, there were 6 different denominations and so forth. So the British, when they established Iraq, like 100 years ago, they assumed that with the time, thanks to the one state, one border, one law system, one flag, one national anthem, one ministry of education, one ministry of whatever, everyone will abandon his traditional loyalty to the tribe, to the ethnic group, to the religion and the sect, will all get married with each other, mix with each other, adopt the modern idea of Iraq, the modern Iraq, and they will all sit around one fire and sing Kumbaya together in perfect harmony.
Right.
The problem is it didn't happen.
It didn't, no.
Sunnah remained loyal to the Sunnah while Shia remained loyal to the Shia. Right. Arabs remained loyal to their Arab heritage while Kurds remained loyal to their Kurdish heritage, and so forth.
It would seem like
the same thing in Syria, the same thing in Yemen, the same thing. So all these states are failing because the state tries to impose its agenda on all these traditional groups, and they fail. And they fail to settle in the hearts of the people and to replace the traditional loyalties to the different frameworks. And this is the source of failure in these failing states. In the successful states, each and every one of them belongs to one tribe. Kuwait belongs to Al Sabah. Al is a clan. Kuwait belongs to Al Sabah. Qatar belongs to Al Thani, another tribe, another clan. Dubai belongs to Al Maktoum, while Abu Dhabi belongs to Al Nahyan. Saudi Arabia belongs to Al Saud.
You have them.
Once you have a homogeneous society, on this you have functioning political arena, and on this you can build skyscrapers. If you have oil like Abu Dhabi, you do it with the oil. If you don't have oil, you do it with business, as it is in Dubai. While in Iraq and Libya and all the other failing states, the society is fragmented to tribal issues, tribal groups, ethnic groups, religious and sectarian groups. They fight each other. So the society doesn't function as a society. The political arena is a failing political arena because it's based on fragmented society. And the economy is a failure because who with the right mind will invest in a country where the people are fighting each other?
True.
Okay.
So we touched on family, chamula, and we touched on religion, but just a little bit more on the modernism. Why can't, for example, why can't an organization transcend both of those? For example, you had Al-Qaeda, you had the Taliban, and you have Osama bin Laden, he was killed. Then you have Zawahiri, I believe it is. Zawahiri took over, and he said, I will be the new guy, but he wasn't strong enough. So Zarqawi says, I'm going to start ISIS in Iraq, which then became ISIS, or they called it ISIL, and or it was first in Iraq and then it became the whole thing. Why can't the organizations, I'm not saying that's real modernism, but why can't organizational structure transcend family ties and religion ties and say, let's all, I'm glad this is not the case because this would be bad for us, but why doesn't it happen?
No, modernism means that you get rid of your traditional belongings.
No Wahhabi, no Salafi, no nothing.
In order to constitute, let's say, a Syrian nation, and this is what Hafez Assad, the former president, tried to do, you have to make the people leave, at least practically, their religion, their tribal heritage, and their ethnic belonging.
Right.
Okay, they have to act. Everyone have to act like a Syrian Arab citizen.
Okay.
Regardless if you are from Kurdish origin or from Arab or from Alawi.
Yeah.
And this is very hard to re-engineer people's culture. It's very hard. It happens maybe when you migrate to other countries and you adopt the culture of the country which adopted you.
Right.
Like in Europe, there are many Muslims who went to Europe and they became totally Europeanized.
It's true. They became Europeans. But now
Because in every aspect,
right.
They drink whatever is poured to the glass and they eat whatever falls
right.
on their plate.
Right.
Even pork and alcoholic beverages.
Right.
So they abandoned their heritage. So now they can become Germans, French, or whatever in Europe.
Westernized, whatever.
As long as you keep your heritage, it's very hard for you to become something of part or indivisible part of another culture, especially when it's open, atheistic in many cases in Europe, and nihilistic, permissive. When you come from traditional Arab societies where women are being, kept intact until the marriage, you cannot allow a situation where women do whatever they like, with whoever they like, whenever they like, and if they all get married, if at all. And the percentage of marriage in Europe is dropping.
Yeah. But in Islam, it's probably increasing for their
Islam,
plan.
Whoever keeps the Islamic tradition will never, especially at least ideally, will never, let's say, live with a woman without the official marriage by Islam. So this is what I mean. When here in the Middle East as well, when the Western ideas come from the West, especially when things are connected to gender, the status of women in work, women and education, women in politics, women in arts. Here in the Middle East, people did not even think that a woman has emotions. There was a big earthquake in the culture of the Middle East when one book named Zainab was the first romance in Arabic, which was published in Egypt, talked about love, a woman who loves.
Right.
Since when woman has emotions?
Or can drive a car.
A woman was viewed traditionally in the Middle East as a walking womb, which its objective is to bring children to the world, and they should better be sons and not daughters, because if she brings only daughters, she will be thrown out. And to educate them, to cater for them, and for the father. And this is the role of life. This is the tradition view to women. And it's very hard to change it. Now, look at women as somebody who's equal to you. Equal means you take one woman and she takes you. You take her as a partner, not as an asset.
Right.
Because the tradition said that the women are assets.
Right.
In order to bring children to the world. So you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as many as you can feed.
Right.
And this was a major difference which came to the Middle East and tried to change the cultures both of tribalism and Islam. Let alone what comes more recently, the LGBT communities, which this is totally unacceptable in Middle Eastern societies.
They'll get killed,
People talk about democracy. Democracy, which also part of the ideas which came to the Middle East. Democracy is totally rejected by Middle Eastern societies. This is why, by the way, there is not even one real democratic countries in the Arab world.
Right.
Even Turkey is not one of them. So why? Because democracy is made of human rights, equality between Muslims and Jews and Christians, equality between men and women, equality as a principle. freedom of speech,
Right.
freedom of criticism as part of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from religion,
Right.
women's freedom, freedom of women
Right.
to do whatever they like, with whoever they like, whenever they like. Okay? Now, all these things are totally unacceptable in Islam. Well, freedom from religion? You know what happens to a Muslim if he announces that he is leaving Islam?
Executed or excommunicated, or depends what level.
He actually puts in danger the connection between his head and shoulders.
Right.
To that degree, yeah.
Yeah.
To that degree.
To that degree.
What will happen to a woman who fools around with men because she exercises her freedom of women?
Right. Right. Killed with stones.
Can you exercise your freedom of speech while you criticize Islam? Or make fun out of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him?
Right.
Look at what happened to the Charlie Hebdo.
Yes, the drawing, they made a drawing of Muhammad.
Some caricatures against Muhammad. Okay, so all these freedoms, which are the most basic cornerstones of democracy, are either totally or at least partially rejected in Islamic societies. This is why democracy cannot
incompatible
to Middle Eastern societies. The only system which works well in the Middle East is the tribal system, as we see in the successful countries in the Gulf. And this, if this was the paradigm for the whole Arab world, the whole Arab world was a flourishing paradise.
Yeah. You know, I won't say his name, but there's a famous Muslim scholar who just put something out recently where he says Jewish people and Israel as a nation should speak to our neighbors in the terms of family. We're in tribalism and the term of God. Like we are the people of God, the Bnei Israel, and they should respect that in the Quran. Do you think that would be compatible if we more focused on those?
You can easily, you can use the Quranic ideas in order to promote, let's say, even peace. There is a verse in the Quran which says, no compulsion in religion.
Okay, right.
Very peaceful idea. You cannot force anything connected to religion because religion comes from within. Religion comes from your belief, from your heart, from your mind, from your inner feelings. You cannot force anyone to feel something or to believe in something. Okay, so this is a very, very nice, very good verse which appears in the Quran.
Right.
And those who claim that Quran, the Islam was the source of democracy, take this verse as the idea. Okay.
Right.
However, there are many other verses in the Quran which talk about the jihad, talk about killing the infidels.
Under the rock, under the tree.
Yeah, and this is from the hadith. So, so there are so many things which negate it. So of course you can read it selectively. But the others also can read it selectively.
Correct. Well, just before we get to the war that we're in right now, seven-front war, Iran, its proxies, its influence, and how did, since 1979, right, with Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini and now Ali, and you have this Khamenei, and so you have them thinking that they're 12er or 9er, whatever, Shia, and they think that all these Sunnis are going to really listen to it. It looks like they are being able to pull in a sway from their mind. And not only that, they think they can destroy Israel and destroy everyone. But just before we get into that, two other things, that's what I want to get to. But just before that, our friend Guy Becho, I believe he was the one that said any Muslim, even if they're westernized, could be radicalized within a few easy steps. You're not doing what you should be doing religiously. You're not doing what you should be doing for your family and your people. You're not, and isn't that a danger for even what you call the westernized, or what is looked at as the westernized Muslims?
Of course, people change their mind. Through all kinds of things which happen to them during life. You can, let's say, you can be born to a family which believes in God, and you were brought up on the fear of God and the belief in God. But at some point of your life, you decide to leave this belief, and you don't believe in it anymore, and your life is totally different. Or the contrary,
right?
You can be born to a family which believes in atheism.
Change,
And with the time, you discover religion, and you get closer in any religion.
Right.
Happens to Jews, happens to Muslims, happens to others.
Right.
And you become more and more. people do change. People are not stupid.
Right. Thank you for tuning into yet another episode of the Real Israel podcast with me, Chaim Malespin, where truth shines, dispelling the darkness. And if you found value in today's episode, please like it, comment, we want to hear from you, and subscribe. Click that notification bell and share it. Join the conversation and be a truth speaker for Israel.